Hey guys, it's Zach from Myshire Farm. I'm a couple minutes late. Was having some technical difficulties. Um, Plans have kind of changed a little bit. My plan was to go through our daily routine today before I start answering any questions. Um, but I had to take the kids to practice tonight, so uh, I'll have to do that tomorrow night. But that is what's going on with that. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Before or while I'm waiting on your guys' questions, what I did want to talk to you guys, sorry. Hello. What I did want to talk to you guys about was a couple questions that one of my really good customers asked me today. They said they were not able to watch the live videos, but they're watching them in the mornings. And they had a couple questions. So one, the reason why we are not discussing the conveyors or explaining the conveyors is mainly because that is something that sets us apart. And that's just something that sets us apart that not very many people can replicate. A lot of people can replicate a lot of stuff, and we're giving you a lot of information to do so. That's just one thing we don't want to give away. The other question was very in-depth. It was a very good question, and I cannot read it because I can't do both on my phone at the same time, and I forgot the iPad at home. But I will try to answer it the best that I can. The question was, how do we selectively breed? We Our plan is to switch out our breeders twice a year and our males multiple times. Now, we do that. We recommend that you do it once a year, right? We do it twice a year because we sell so many of them. We're kind of putting them in overdrive, so we want to be kind to them and not make them do it forever. Also, he had asked how we selectively breed. I do not put them in separate cages. What I do is, if I'm breeding for size, I'm looking for the largest eggs in that colony cage. And then obviously we weigh them at 3 weeks, at 6 weeks, at 8 weeks, and then at 10 weeks before they go into a colony cage. If we're breeding for color, I'm much more lenient. Pretty much, let's just say I'm breeding for a new colony cage of SSCs. And by the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will get to it as soon as I'm done with that. But let's say I'm breeding, I'm wanting to put in a new colony cage of our breeders for the SSCs. In that case, I'm going to take all of my SSCs and put them in. And then at 3 weeks old, I am going to go through and hand pick which ones I want. Now, when we do that, there's some times where I'm looking for the charcoal color, the very dark color. And then there's some times where I'm looking for silver pharaohs. Sometimes I'm looking for silver and golds. Sometimes I'm looking for lavenders, you know, some light, some dark. Sometimes it's just a mix. Sometimes I'm looking for size. So it just depends on what I'm looking for at that time. But if it's for size, I'm only hand picking the top 10% of the eggs, the largest eggs. The top 10% of the largest eggs are going into the incubator. For colors, I'm much more lenient. I put everything in, and that goes to my next point, which would be if you're going to breed, and this is really important if you're going to be breeding a lot or if you're going to be trying to sell, if you're going to be very involved with the breeding program, it is very, very, very important that you have an outlet to sell your excess. So for example, let's say we want to increase our jumbo wilds to an extra colony cage. A colony cage is 50 hens. So let's say I put in 100 eggs, right? Let's say we put in 200 eggs. Let's say we get 50% hatch rate. If I get a 50% hatch rate here, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. But let's just say we get a 50% hatch rate. That means I have 100. Out of that, statistically, 50 of them are going to be male. So I have 50 hens, which is what I wanted. They're not all going to make weight. So you need to go above and beyond that. If you're going to say you have jumbo wilds, you have to do it right, or it's very easy to slip. So just because we have 14-ounce jumbos, that is our average. So when I'm breeding our jumbos, I will have some 9 ounces in there. I will have maybe 10% that are 10 to 11 ounces, but they don't go into our breeding program. They go into a separate cage for something else, or I sell them. So only the top tiers of each one will go into the cage. It does take a long time, but that's how you get a very good breeding program. So I wanted to answer those questions. He's a very faithful customer of mine. So hopefully when he watches this in the morning, that will answer his questions. And the floor is your guys's. I will answer whatever questions you have. Do you add new birds to existing birds or replace the whole cage at once? Very good question. We do both. Typically, how do I want to respond to that? So we have 22 colors, right? They do not all sell the same. So for example, our jumbo wilds are our #1 seller, hands down, by far, no competition, right? And then there's rank 2, and there's rank 3, and then it goes all the way to rank 22. Now that does not mean that the lowest selling color that I have is not good. I won't get rid of any of our colors. It just means it's not as popular as everything else. So in that case, they go into a smaller cage. So we have colony cages that fit 50 hens, and then we have smaller cages that fit 30 hens. So the bottom tier of our cells go into the 30 tier cage. If it is a 30 tier cage, I replace the entire thing. If it is a large 50 count cage, then I usually do half and half. We either paint them or leg band them, or we mark them in some way that I know which ones are which. Now, we also have some, like our jumbo wilds, our SSCs, our golds, our really high top sellers, we have multiple cages for. If I have multiple cages, then I do replace an entire cage at one time. That's a very good question. How can we sell to reptile, and what kind of reptile? It really depends. So restrictors like boas, pythons, things like that, they eat medium to large size quail. I'm not too familiar. I think it's once a week that they'll eat a fully grown male. Lizards, tegus, things like that, love quail eggs, and things like that. But the best thing to do is ask questions. Get on Facebook and join some reptile groups and just post some questions on there. Hey, I have quail. I was told that reptiles love quail and quail eggs of all sorts. What's your guys' experience? And they'll tell you. The reptile world is large and vast, and for the most part, they are very, very willing to help. I really love the reptile world. What age do you put new birds in with older birds fighting? That's a great question. I don't put our new breeders in to our existing cages until they're 10 weeks old, because I do want to weigh them. Even if they're not jumbos, I need to know what weight they average, because I get that question quite a bit. And not only that, but there's really no reason to put them into the cage if they're not laying yet, So let's say you can sex them out at 6 weeks old. Let's say they don't start laying until 8. Well, why are you? There's no reason to put them in the cage. So let them just grow. Plus, if I'm growing for weight for our breeders, which even if I'm going for color at the time, I'm still trying to get the higher weight. So they're on the starter grower feed for longer anyway. So typically 8 weeks, but we do mix them around. Jenna put a blog on years ago on our website about how to introduce new quail to an existing flock, and we pretty much follow that. But that's a very good question. How many birds do you recommend per square foot? We recommend 3.5 quail per square foot in the cages, and we recommend 6 quail per square foot in the brooders. That is giving that you're keeping them in the brooders for only 3 weeks. If they are after 3 weeks, if you're keeping them in there until 6 weeks or until they start laying eggs, then that changes dramatically. So I guess a better way to say it is we recommend 3.5 quail per square foot if they're 3 weeks or older. If they're day old to 3 weeks, we recommend 6 quail per square foot. What kind of paint do you use, and where do you paint the birds for identification? We've tried a bunch of different things. I don't think we've actually painted them for a while. We came up with a different method that works for me. But we just use nail polish. We did try to spray paint before, and that did not go well. Don't spray paint their feet. They get really hostile. So lesson learned, don't ever spray paint quail's feet, because the other quail don't like it. And then they don't even like it. We had one just destroy itself. It just kept picking at its feet. So bad call. But they don't mind nail polish. You can get quail leg bands on Winola Ranch, I believe. And they work amazing. And things like that. Curious, what is your second and third most popular color? So it's Jumbo Wilds, SSCs, and Mix. What is a good weight for your bird? Actually, I'm going to answer your question in just a second, Melissa, but I'm actually going to go back to Sadie's real quick. So when we choose to have, so let's say I have eating eggs and hatching eggs, right? Let's say our corporate accounts, because our corporate accounts, if you haven't watched our videos before, they get eggs on Thursday and Friday and Sunday. So I collect those 3 days for our corporate eggs. Lately, they've been taking a lot more, and I am really starting to get tired of that, but I'm gonna need those accounts when I triple in size. So I'm struggling with it. But someone asked me how I differentiate what I give them. All of our eggs are fertilized. So that's number one. Number two, if you do the research, it is actually healthier to have fertilized eggs than non-fertilized. And you can't tell the difference. You can't taste the difference. So we sold the benefit to them of having fertilized farm fresh eggs, right? So that's number one. Number two, I have 3 full cages of mixed eggs. So 3 full cages of just fun colors that I just wanted to see what would hatch when I hatch them, right? Nothing big, they're not research, they're just fun for me, right? I take those first. Now, I said that our third most popular was our mixed. I don't like to pull eggs from those mixed cages unless I absolutely have to. So let's say you order 60 mixed eggs from us. I literally go cage to cage, and I get a 60 count. I get 3. So 3 scarlets, 3 Tibetans, 3 tuxedos, 3 SSCs, 3 golds, 3 until it's completely full. So then I know you're getting a very good variety of mixed. So yeah, that's that. What is a good weight for your birds? The average size of our Jumbo Wilds are 14 ounces. Nothing comes close to compare to that. The average egg size for our jumbo wilds is 14 to 16 grams. So 15 grams is the average. And nothing compares to that. And then pretty much everything else is very, very close. Our smallest quail is actually the scarlets, and they average 8.25. And then most of them are between 9 to 10 and a half. Yeah, most of them are between 9 and 10 and a half. I would say a majority of them are close to 9.5 to 10, but that would be the range. Very good question. Do 3-week-old quail chicks and 3-week-old chicken chicks get along if housed together? I do not know. I have never housed them together. You can get... I would never put them together. We've never put chickens and quail together. I did have to put peacocks into a brooder next to quail. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. I've never put chicken and quail together, or I never put the peacocks and the quail together, or I've never done any of that because we're a business and because it scares me. Now, I have been told by numerous people it's not a big deal, they don't carry the same things, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, but this is our income. So if by chance something did happen, that would destroy me. So it's better to be safe than sorry. But if you're just raising them for them, I've heard plenty of my customers say they put them together and they've never had an issue. But I don't have any experience with that. How many days are you answering questions? I am ending on Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got today and 3 more days left. What is a good ratio of quail hens and roosters? We recommend a 5-to-1 ratio, or a 10-to-2 ratio. 5-to-1. We don't follow that only because we sell so many hatching eggs across the U.S. We want to make sure that you get a very good hatch rate. We are averaging we're averaging a 64% hatch rate, which just went up a percentage point, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot considering how much we ship out. So that's really cool. So if you're just hatching out for yourself, or if you're just selling the chicks, a 5-to-1 ratio is perfect. Your hens are going to be looking good. Your males are going to be satisfied. Everything's good. But if you're going to go shipping to all 50 states and doing this and doing that, you got to get your fertility up there. This is my only job. Yes, I quit my career, or I changed careers, because this is my career now, I guess, last June. Where do you recommend getting the belt for the conveyor from? I am sorry, we are not answering any conveyor questions. We're just not answering any conveyor questions because that's something that sets us apart from everyone else. And we gotta keep some secrets. I am sure we are going to open up and finally give in and answer conveyor questions and probably do a conveyor video. We're just not there yet. Any other questions? How many quail did you start out with, and how fast did your business grow? 60 eggs, I think. Jenna ordered, see, I wasn't involved with the quail at first. Don't hold me to these numbers, but I'm pretty sure she ordered 60 eggs online, and then someone local that's like an hour away, her and Papa went and drove and got, I think, like 30 live birds. And that's kind of what we started with. We have worked with other breeders and got bloodlines in. We've mixed and matched, we've inbred, we've crossbred, we've talked to people in Egypt and India, in Canada, in the US. We did a lot of research, and we worked with a lot of breeders um, to do this. And there's another thing. To have a good breeding program, you need to do your research. You've got to put the time in for the research. But also, a lot of people don't succeed as well as they want to. I guess that's the politically correct way to say that. They don't succeed as well as they want to because it is a lot more hard work and a lot more time consuming than what you would imagine. How many quail did you... Oh, I just read that. Are all quail hardy, or are some more than others? All quail are about the same as far as that goes. They're also about the same as far as laying goes. They're all pretty consistent. They all average 300 eggs a year. In my opinion, and the statistic, I mean, we're talking little small numbers, but just my perception is the golds seem to lay more consistently than everything else, but they all lay 300. I think it's just more sporadic with everything else. But they're all pretty hardy. I would say the least hardy are the whites. We carry the whites because I have to, but that would be my least favorite. I just don't like them. The only reason that you would want whites is for meat, and I understand that they're white feathers. They're not white meat. They're white feathers, which means it's easier to, they look better when you butcher. I get that part, except for the jumbo wilds anywhere are going to be bigger than whites, so you're getting more meat with the wilds, and you can feather sex the wilds at 3 weeks old, where you have to wait till full maturity for the whites. So I like the wilds. Is there any type of quail overseas that you're looking to get? I don't think I'm allowed to answer that question. I might be able to, but I plead the fifth, because sometimes I get in a lot of trouble for saying things that I'm not allowed to say. And that is on the border, and I am going to be good. So, very good question, but I cannot answer. Not that I don't want to, I really want to. What age do you vinsex the colors that are not feather sexable? Well, funny story. So I'm a very competitive person, just so you know, backstory, right? Very competitive person. I like to win. I really like to be number one. Jenna seems to be better at me than everything, almost. We have found out in the past couple years I'm really good at two things, but she seems to be almost better than me at almost everything, which drives me crazy, right? So I got into the quail business, and then I started working a lot on it, and so I'm working, 20 hours in the quail barn and 60 hours at work, and now I'm working, I don't know, what's 15 times 7? Whatever that is, that's how long I work on the quail per week. And so I'm almost to her level, but she's able to vent sex them between 5 to 6 weeks. It drove me crazy for so long, so I'm like, I don't get it. So the longer you do it, long story short, the longer you do it, the better you get at it. So I can now vent sex them I'm very comfortable with vent sexing them at 6 weeks. There's some that are going to be a little delayed, but majority I can tell at 6 weeks old if they're male or female. But if you're just starting out, or you've only been doing it for 6 months, a year, then I would say 7.5 to 8 weeks would be your comfort zone. I thought there was another question, but I guess there wasn't. So how it works, in case you have not been able to join before, is I'll keep the feed going until I don't have any more questions. So like for example, right now, the live feed says it's 25:05. So at 27, if there's no more questions, then I'll end it because, you know, because I don't have that much to say except for answering questions. But if there continues to be questions, then I'll just keep going. That is completely up to you guys. I dedicated this time to answer questions, so I have no problem. It seems to keep getting bigger each day. So like the first day, I think we were only on for like 28 minutes. And then last night we were on for like 65 minutes. So I just got Goldens and read about a defect in the breed Golden with Golden. No, that's a myth. Now that is a myth. I mean, there might be, but I've never experienced it. And I have a lot of golds. The golds are, I've got a lot of golds. Which, Sadie, number 4th biggest seller is golds. So in case you guys missed it, somebody asked earlier what our highest sellers are. Number 1 is Jumbo Wilds, number 2 is SSCs, number 3 are mixed, number 4 is golds by a long shot. And then it drops off a little bit. But I'm usually still sold out, so not a problem. Now, with your question, William, I've heard that before. I don't believe it. I've not experienced it in years of breeding them, but I don't breed golds with golds. I breed Italian hens with golden Manchurians because you get the best results out of them. So I don't have golden Manchurians and golden Manchurians together, and I don't have Italians with Italians together. I have golden Manchurian males with Italian hens, and then in another cage I have Italian males with golden Manchurian hens, because you get the best result as far as hatching goes with that. What is the longest amount of time did you ever have a batch of quail start to lay? I think I read it wrong and too fast, so I'm going to read that again. Sorry, guys. What is the longest amount of time did you ever have a batch of quails start to lay? So I'm pretty sure, well, the longest it's taken for quails for us to lay that I have recorded was 9 weeks and a couple days. I don't remember. It's written down at home, but I think it's 9 weeks and like 2 days or something like that. But I think that was our fault. That was my fault. That was right when I quit, and I kind of took over the quail barn, and I changed feeds, and I moved them a ton. I did a lot of things wrong at first. You know, and it was set up fine. It's just, if I knew I was going to be in there for 14 hours a day, I wanted it set up my way. I'm really particular, is the nice word. Is your farm open visit anytime to leaking customers? Yes and no. Yes, we welcome farm pickups, but we've always got a lot of stuff going on. You know, so like for example, Jenna's not home right now. I'm at Taekwondo practice with my kids, so I'm not home right now. I have a ton of people that, you know, are traveling from, you know, Florida to Michigan or New York to, I don't know, Indiana or whatever. I don't know. If they give me a day notice, then we'll work it out. It's not a big deal. Most of the time it's not a problem and I'm home. But, you know, things come up, which is what I'm going to finish with tonight. So please remind me if I say, okay, any other questions and no one say anything, please remind me that I have something important to tell you guys about that. Because I was going to talk about organization and flow and things like that, which I thought was pretty important. But yes, we are open to the public. I have no problem giving tours. We just prefer to have a notice so that I can plan, because there's always something going on. William, which is on here, he picks up, he's picked up a couple times in the past couple weeks. Eli Davidson, you know, Jamie, there's a ton of people that pick up a lot, and they know there's always something going on. What marketing venue is most productive for you? eBay, Facebook, specialty groups, etc. It varies. And that would be the advice that I give you, which goes back to the point of you really want to make sure that pie is cut up properly. Man, I cannot stress to you that enough. The graph shows that September, October, November, if Facebook is your only avenue, if Facebook is the only way you're making revenue, you will go broke in September, October, November. No one's buying, right? So you've got to have those local businesses, local pickups, local farmers markets. You need to be on eBay. You need a website. I mean, you got to have all those businesses. So I have really, really, really tried to share that piece of pie evenly. And I think it's fairly even. It just depends. January, February, March, I'm barely on Facebook because eBay and the website is just skyrocketing. After March, I can get back on quail and supply auction group and auction off some quail, and stuff like that, because it kind of slows down. And then our corporate accounts, we just got 3 more accounts, which is great. It's great. It's just stressing me out. But we need this down the road, so I got to do it now. Because we can't just live in the now and not worry about tomorrow. We got to do both. So, I won't have as many auctions to do on Sunday as I usually like, because we got these new accounts. But again, if I'm tripling in eggs, I can't just assume that we're going to triple in eggs and then I'm not going to change anything. I got to change things if I'm going to triple the business. But try to make it as even as possible. That was a really long answer. I'm sorry. Man, really long answers. I really got to work on that. What day in development do you candle eggs, and do you recommend removing undeveloped eggs from the incubator before lockdown? That is an amazing question, and I actually just candled today and have some really strong opinions on that. We candle on day 12. Number 1. Number 2, if they're completely clear, take them out. There's no reason to put them in there. If they bust, then there's no reason. No reason. If there is a chance that you can't tell for sure. So I candled 1,400. I candled 1,400 eggs today. I would say about 15 of them on day 12. I really couldn't tell. I could make a guess. I could make an educated guess, but I could not tell for sure. I just put them back in. If they hatch, great. If they don't, not a big deal. But the ones that are completely clear all the way through, get rid of them. But day 12. What breed is best to raise for meat and egg production? The Texas A&M or the jumbo quail or the standard? Thank you very much. God bless from California. Thank you very much. Welcome, California, David. Jumbo Wilds, hands down. So our jumbo whites, I am in the process of working on. When I say that I'm in the process of working on something, it usually takes me about 2 years to finish, because I have a very strenuous process to do that. Now, with that being said, jumbo wilds will always be bigger than jumbo whites. Always. They will always give you more meat. They will always, I'm going to rephrase that. They will always give you more meat, and more than likely your jumbo wilds will give you larger eggs, but some of those jumbo whites out there give you very, very large eggs. So that's a hit or miss. But the jumbo wilds will always give you a bigger meat. Now, the second reason why I recommend the jumbo wilds is because you can feather sex them at 3 weeks old. So you can get rid of males, you can separate them early, you can, jumbo wilds all the way. My birds keep standing in the automatic watering cups and draining all the water. It's only funny because I yell at them every day. Because they just love to do it. So we've came up with a different idea to do our watering system in the new barn with our new cages. It is not implemented yet. I guess I could do it to the old cages, but that's whenever I have time to actually do that. But I will keep you posted on that. I will let you know if our idea works, and if it does, I will be more than happy to share that. But no, you got to talk to them. You got to explain that they are not being very helpful, and that they could go to freezer camp if they continue. Is my conversation with them every morning. But I think that they don't believe me anymore because I've been saying that for 2 years, and it's never happened. So I just have to deal with it. Is there any documents on breeding certain colors together to produce another color, or is it trial and error? There is some information out there. There's actually a quail group I'm not very active on. I think it's Quail Colors and Genetics on Facebook, but I could be wrong about that. I would look it up. It'll probably show up if you just put that in there. They're a pretty good resource. They're a very good resource. There's some stuff online, but just be really careful with the stuff online, because I disagree with a lot of that stuff, which is another reason why we decided to not just do the Q&A, but we decided to do all the videos and help out as much as we can, because there's so much misinformation out there. But with that being said, you know, I do realize that there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know what I mean? But on the same token, there is a lot of foolishness out there. Very good question. Trial and error, usually with 80%, 90%. If you have a specific question like how to breed this or how to get this color, I'm more than welcome to answer that if I know. I'm usually pretty happy to answer those questions. I'm not big. I would rather talk in, what's the word? I would rather talk in layman terms and not be very specific and scientific, because I just don't, that's not how my brain operates, you know? Just give me the basics and then I'll figure it out from there. But if you can understand the basics, then you'll get there. You just got to you got to figure out the foundation and build your way up. Is it possible to keep quail on pasture commercially? What would No, not in my opinion. Which I will reiterate, which I said the first night, which I probably should say every night at the beginning. These are just my opinions from my experiences and from my trial and errors and from my failures and from my successes. So there's more than one way to do things. I'm sure there's a way. I have no idea how you would do that. The only reason I say that is because collecting eggs would be awful. And then you would only be able to sell either one color or mixed eggs if you did that, because you never know what egg is what. So I don't know how that would work commercially. If you're just doing it small, you know, if you're just doing it for you, or if you're just doing it for your local market, then, you know, and if you just have jumbo wilds, then that might work, but you're going to spend a lot of time finding eggs, collecting eggs. That would be a little rough. And they would still have to be fenced in because they are very low on the food chain. Amount of feed per day for jumbo quail. I would need my calculator for that, and I can't use that right now. But you can text me at 937-760-7282, and I can answer you after I get off this, or I can try to remember. I am going to reemphasize that. I'm going to try to remember to look that up, and I will give you that information tomorrow. I'm very forgetful. I completely lost track of where I was. Oh, the feed per day, yeah. Points. I want to look. I want to look or either do the math. I know the numbers to do the math. I don't want to answer that question right now. But you can text me. Feel free to text me. I'll answer the question later, or I will try to remember to answer it tomorrow. Do you think you may make live chat a weekly thing? If you guys would want that, I don't think I would do it daily, but we could do it weekly. Sundays I really try, and some days it's Sundays, like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sundays I really try to do a lot of my paperwork, a lot of my numbers, a lot of my, weekly numbers, inventory numbers, crunch the numbers, do auctions, send invoices, respond to messages, respond to emails. I try to do a lot of my computer stuff on Sundays, which I consider that to be my easy day, which turns out to be a 15-hour I'm on the computer all day day. But that's okay, because I enjoy it. So maybe we could do that. I could do it on Sundays, maybe, at different times, maybe I could start the day off with a live feed, and then do auctions all day, or I could do auctions all day and then do a live feed at the end, or I would need to see how many people are interested in it. If there's only going to be 3 or 4 comments or 3 or 4 questions, then just text me. But if a lot of people are interested in that, then I'd be willing to work something out. Thank you for your answers, as I am asking from the UK. Welcome. So stayed up to ask, as after research we seem to have a small amount of Caternix. Crap. As I'm asking from the UK, so stayed up to ask, as after research we seem to a small amount of Caternix squalix here. In the UK. Scott, are you asking... I need you to rephrase that, because I think you're saying that there's not a huge variety of Caternix in the UK, and I might be able to direct you to some people that could get you some there, because I have worked with some people in the UK, if that's your question. And if that is your question, you can text me at 937-760-7282, and I can get you in contact with some people that I know have a very good breeding program, are very moral, stand up, and have some Caternix. If I wanted some unusual colors, do you think it would worthwhile trying to import some eggs from the US to the UK? Yes, would be my answer. Yes. There are some colors in the UK that the US does not have. There are some colors in Canada that the US does not have. And the same goes for that. The US has a bunch of colors that the UK and Canada and places like that do not have. And yeah, it's a long process, it's expensive. You usually want to get some partners together and things like that, but yeah, it's definitely worth it. Because you pretty much create the market that way, because you're the only one that has it. Tasmania, that's cool. Welcome, Roger. But I guess that would go with the US also. And it looks like the question stopped, so we're at 45. So if there's no other questions till at 47, then I'll end it. But if there is, let me know. When you're starting a market, or trying to find your market, you really want to find out what your market is. I hate when people say, well, nobody wants colors here. They only want jumbo wilds, or no one wants Coturnix. They all love chickens. They just don't know yet. You got to sell them. I have a selling background, and that is what I am at heart. I'm a salesperson. I love selling. I love customer service. I love talking to people. I love marketing. That's I love that part of it. So you got to come up with how, why, and when. You know, why is it beneficial to them? Why is quail the new chicken? Why do they need to get on this new thing? Why, or what are the benefits of raising quail? What's the difference between raising quail and raising chickens? And so on and so forth. I have not, no. So I'm not too familiar with it. We have had pheasants, we've had turkeys, we've had peacocks, chuckers, bobwhites, Coturnix, goats, pigs, cows, ducks, geese, pigeons. I'm missing a couple, but we've had a lot. We've had a lot. Very good question. We're at 46:30, so I'll wait till 48:30 in case there's no other questions. Another good night for responses, so I really appreciate that. A lot of people internationally, which is really cool. UK and Tasmania. Couple different people from the UK, so that's really cool. Very cool. And you can kind of take the, do you sell chucker eggs? We do not. The only thing we sell is Coturnix. We actually got rid of our chuckers. We don't have chuckers anymore. Not a problem. Happy to help. Yeah, we sold out of the chuckers. We don't have bobwhites anymore. We don't have the pigeons anymore. Man, I'm telling you, we pretty much sold everything. I mean, we still have our Angus cow. We do have peacocks. They're young, but they're going to be really excited. Jenna's really happy with those. We have always kept our geese, and we've always kept our ducks. We don't have any chickens right now. We don't have any more goats, and we don't have the pigs. But that's because, obviously, I guess I'm just... Louisiana, welcome, Scott. Minnesota, awesome, very cool. I'm just not a very good multitasker, and having all those animals is just overwhelming for me, feeding and watering, and with how many quail we have. But I've mentioned in the other videos that George came to live on the property, and he's helping us full-time now. So we started up the hoop house again. We started up the greenhouse again. We ordered in meat chickens this year. So I'm really hoping that by this time next year, we'll have goats, we'll have pigs, we'll have peacocks, we'll have bobwhites, we'll have chuckers, ducks and geese, and we'll have everything back running and going, because we really want to do that. I just had to take a break from, it was overwhelming, but we're getting back on track. How many acres is your farm on? 28, 28, 27, I don't know, 20, upper 20s. Final answer. I think it's 28. But I would say a quarter of it is woods that we just have. Kids love to go explore in there. And then we have 3 different pastures that are fenced in for the Angus cow that we have. We've got the workshop with the greenhouse next to it, and then the hoop house next to that. and then we've got my house, and we've got Papa and his wife's house, and another barn, and a butcher shop, and the new quail barn. So we have quite a bit of buildings, and a pond, which is really cool. About a third of an acre pond. So very blessed. Maybe, if I'm lucky and I don't have plans that I'm not aware of yet, I would love to walk around tomorrow and just show you guys the property while I answer questions. That would be kind of cool. You're welcome, John Wells. I'm happy to help, and hopefully a lot of people have gotten a lot of answers that they've been wanting to ask, and hopefully it improves. Hopefully this improves your selling. Hopefully it improves your breeding. Hopefully it improves your knowledge and your experience, and continues your success in the quail business, or just breeding and raising quail for you, or whatever. Jacksonville, Florida. Pretty cool. So we got Florida, Louisiana, Minnesota, the UK, Tasmania. I know William was on here earlier. I know he's in Ohio. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Where's everybody else from? How often do you... Wow. How often do you do a complete cage cleaning, disinfecting? Once every 6 months. It is the worst thing in the world, and I do not wish it on anyone, but it gotta be done. Yeah, cages, removing the birds, cleaning them out, which is actually coming up in September, which is next month. But this year I have George. I'm not by myself, so it should go easier. Florida, awesome. 2 people from Florida. Texas, man, that's really cool. I was working in the yard today, and I'm pretty sure I got poison ivy on my face, so that's why I keep rubbing my nose, because it's just itching like crazy, guys. So, do you think there's any profitability for keeping button quail? I have never raised button quail. Okay, so I will remind you again, this is just my opinion. I'm allowed to be wrong. It is okay. Yes, I think you could make some money off button quail. Do I think that you could quit your job and do it full time with button quail? No. I think you need to have, I feel like button quail is a want, not a need. Okay? So, I guess you could butcher them and eat their eggs, but yeah, I think button quail are missing the need for your business. But I do think that you could make a decent income on the side raising button quail. Not a lot of people do. From my understanding, they are a little bit harder to take care of than Coturnix, but I'm not completely certain of that. That's just what I've heard. I've never raised them, but that's a good point. When you're starting a business, even if it's not quail, let's say it's some other farm animal or produce or whatever, you gotta make sure that there's not just a want but a need there. You gotta tap into both, you know. So, you know, healthy meat, healthy eggs. If you're allergic to chicken eggs, quail eggs, you won't most likely be allergic to. One of our first customers lives a couple cities away, and she comes, I don't know, once every month and a half to get quail eggs, because her daughter is highly allergic to chicken eggs, but she can have quail eggs. And so even though we try not to sell locally anymore, as far as eating eggs go, she was our first customer, so she's always going to be around. But in the new barn, hopefully we'll be able to open that back up. But that would be my concern with the button quail. But I don't know that much about it. Colorado, very cool. What time is it in the UK right now? I feel like it's super late there. All right, so Michigan, very cool. I would scroll through, but then I'll get confused, and I don't want to. But man, that's like 6, 7, 8 states. Iowa, very cool. Iowa, Michigan, Colorado, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Minnesota, Louisiana, the UK, Tasmania, Arizona, very, very cool. Actually, Arizona, I think I talked to you today on the phone. Or I might not have. But I'm pretty sure I talked to you today on the phone. 1 a.m. Yeah, that's past my bedtime. So thanks for staying up. I appreciate it. I hope that I've answered any questions that you've had. And I hope it's helped in any way that I can. I keep some button quails on the ground under my cages to eat the waste feed for my cages. They're easy to raise. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's a good idea. Yeah. I just don't think that you would be able to do the same market with buttons as you can Coternics or even Bob Whites. But you could. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I did talk. I thought I talked to you today. Pennsylvania, very cool. Very cool. In case you missed it, I'm pretty sure I got poison ivy all over my face. So I'm trying not to itch like crazy, but I am touching my face a lot. But that is why. So I don't have a disease. I'm not on drugs. I just man, I'm itching like crazy. North Carolina, awesome. If I stay on here long enough, I might get all 50 states and a couple more international, huh? Well, I really appreciate everybody coming. Everybody spending time with me tonight. I can't give away button quails. It's definitely a specialty market. That's what I would consider button quail, is a specialty market. I think as far as me as a seller, so me as a seller and me as a buyer are completely different. As far as me as a seller, I try to be a chameleon. I try to adapt to your personality, right? So I don't think that that's being fake. I think that that's customer service, you know? Because you might think something is extremely rude where I might go, no, I'm just being real, right? Or on the same token, I might be saying it in one way and you might just be sitting there going, can you just answer the stupid question? Be like, okay, all right. So I try to do that. But me as a buyer, it would be very hard for you to convince me to raise button quail, because I don't see the benefits of it, except for it'd be cool to have some, which it would be cool to have some, and there is a ton of colors which are really cool, but you know, I like the meat and egg production. I like that it's healthy living. I like that. I like all kinds of things about Coternics quail. It's good for itching redness. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do have some stuff at home, but we were running late and I had to get the kids dressed and here on time, and I was stressed out about this, and so I left the laptop at home. I left the other phone at home. I left everything at home, but that's pretty much my life. But thanks, I appreciate it. I will check that out. All right, so we're at 59. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. I've got another 30 minutes that I can be in the van until the kids get done. But if you don't have any more questions, then I'll get off here. It's not a big deal at all. It's not a problem. Thank you, Jesus. And it does look like I'll be able to ship your eggs out on Monday instead. So you should be getting those on Wednesday. I did do the math when I got home. So it looks like as long as they lay like they normally do, then Monday I'll have just enough for you. If not, definitely Tuesday. Cutting it a little close for Monday shipping, but you'll get them earlier than what we had talked about, so that's cool. All right, so we're at 60 minutes exactly. I will wait till it's 62. If there's no other questions or comments, then I will close it out. But if you guys have any other questions as far as marketing or selling or raising or breeding or colors, genetics, any questions except for conveyors. Scott, that is a great question. Well, somebody asked me a question earlier that I'm not allowed to answer, so I feel like I could answer this one. Yes. I cannot tell you when because I don't know when. We are going to hit a landmark. And when we hit that landmark, I'm going to do another customer appreciation sale. But with that being said, that will be the only sale we do. The only time that I will discount eggs is for customer appreciation times. I I have a problem with sales. I don't think it's, to me, only my opinion. Remember that. When I see people discounting and when I see people doing sales all the time, and I'm not talking about quail, I'm talking about anything, any business. To me, that means that they've marked that up so much that they can discount it 20, 50, 75% off and still make a profit. Well, how much is it raised? So I price our quail and our quail eggs at what I think is fair and reasonable, and I still can make a little bit of money to live on. I'm not ever going to be a millionaire doing this, but I will live, and I have enough to put into a savings account and a retirement plan each month, so that I don't, you know, I'll take care of my family one way or the other. But with that being said, I do believe that you have to give back. I believe that to be successful in life, you have to be a giver. So when we hit landmarks, sales landmarks, profit landmarks, customer landmarks, when we hit goals that I was striving to hit, a lot of that had to do with you guys. So I feel like that's appropriate to give back. But the only time we'll do sales is a customer appreciation. But I am about to hit a new record that I've been striving to hit for a while. I should be hitting that. I don't know. It all depends. But I'll be hitting it, and we'll be having a customer appreciation time. Don't forget the last thing you were going to tell us. Yeah, I did have something. Oh, it was really good too, guys. I thought of it on the way driving, and then I was like going through it in my head, and I'm like, man, that people should really hear that, because that's a really big reason why we were successful. And then I will think about it. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. I gotta write things down. I don't know what's going on with my memory. This is Joe in Minnesota. That's 2 Minnesotas. Welcome. This is my wife's account. Thank you for all your help. Or, oh, maybe I think that's the same Minnesota. I'm pretty sure that's the same Minnesota. But you're welcome. Do you sell pickled eggs? Here's a fun fact. We've pickled eggs one time, ever. The last time, I would say, we have probably had quail eggs no more than 5 times this year. And we have had quail meat once all year. Not because we don't love it. We do. I just am always sold out. But that should change when I get the new barn and I triple in size. I should have some meat for us. And I've got that sales mentality. So if I can sell it, you guys get it before we do. I get in a lot of trouble for that. But that's just my mentality. It also means people will just wait for your sales every time and not value your product for full price. I agree. I agree with that. And if your product is not selling, here's my deal. If your product is only selling if it's on sale, there's one of two things that should tell you. One, they don't believe that you have good quality. They just think you have a good price. Number two, I thought I had what I was going to talk about earlier. I just thought of it and then it slipped my mind again. Holy cow, I really got to get that checked out. I keep forgetting everything. And number two, that should tell you that you're overpriced. So if the only time you're selling is when you discount, either you're overpriced in the first place or people do not value it as a benefit or see the value in your product or the quality in your product, and that's a problem, and that's going to lead you into a huge issue down the road. So yeah, that's a great point. I hate sales. I will take advantage of them if they're right. But typically I usually pay more for things if it's similar. I usually pay more for things for businesses that I feel like are not overpricing, because that drives me crazy. And I don't think that we're overpriced. I did a survey at the beginning of the year, and the survey came back is that we were not overpriced. We were fair. And to be honest with you, I don't want to be known as the cheap price. I don't want to be known as the cheap quail guy. I want to be known as the quality quail guy. So that's a great question, though. And great comment. Thank you. Can you crossbreed other quail with Caturnix quail? Can you crossbreed other quail? Like bob whites? I'm assuming you mean, can you crossbreed bob whites with Caturnix? You can. I have never done it. I probably never will do it. But I do know that there is somebody on Facebook that does do it. They're hybrids, and my understanding is they do live. They're not fatal, but obviously you can't hatch off of the hybrids. And I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you. Not enough to talk about it. I am having a scene. I might be younger. I don't feel younger, but with 5 kids and the stress that I put on myself, and man, I think my body thinks that I'm a lot older than what I should be right now. In fact, I got really depressed earlier today. Somebody sent me a video, one of the first YouTube videos we did back in like 2016. Somebody sent it to me, and they're like, "Wow, look at you now." And I was like, "Oh my God." Yeah, my hairline, and I've gained I'm still decent. I'm happy with my weight, but man, I've gained a ton of weight ever since I quit work. It's all that cooking. I used to just eat fast food all the time. It's that cooking that's getting me. Plus, I only used to eat once a day because I was working. So now I eat when Jenna tells me I have to. True, because if I really want something, price doesn't matter. That's true also. That's a very good point, Scott. That's a very good point. Yeah, hybrids. I don't know if I should know this, but I don't. I don't know if hybrids just don't lay eggs or you just can't hatch them. I don't think they lay, but I've never worked on that. I'm a much more practical person. I want to get to where I want to go. It's not fun for me to have fun. Does that make sense? It's not fun for me to experiment with things that I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. If you want something, then you're gonna get it, and you're not gonna care about the price. On the same token, I want it to be affordable so that everyone can enjoy it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just big on that. You're not a university. True story. All right, so we're at 69.5. I will wait until we're at 71. That fair? If you guys have any more questions, I got another 15 minutes before the kids are getting out of practice. But you guys have been awesome again tonight. I cannot express to you how, this is great. I mean, we've had people from all over the states, a ton of communication back and forth, people from out of the country, the UK, Tasmania. Yeah, you guys have been great. A lot of awesome questions. I hope that I've helped. I hope that I've helped. I hope that I'm just not wasting your time and mine. I hate time. I hate time wasting. It drives me crazy. So I hope this is helping. And if it is, then it's not a time waster. So, not a problem. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. If there's no other questions, I'm going to give it about another minute. But if there's no other questions, I'm going to head off, and then we will see you guys tomorrow. I will try to look at those comments on here and find out what I said I would get together tomorrow. I don't remember. Oh, feed. Yep, feed. And then I will also hopefully be home tomorrow, which means I can walk you around our property and show you everything. We'll show you where the bees are and the Angus cow, and I can give you another tour of the new quail barn and things like that. So thanks, Scott. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I can't express to you how grateful and humble this is for you guys to do this with me. And I will be posting a video. I guess I'll be posting a video on Monday asking if you guys want to do this on a weekly basis, and maybe just have a topic. So if you're not interested in that topic, you don't have to join that week. But we could do this on a weekly basis, not nightly. I can't do it nightly forever. But I could do it weekly. And you know, we could do a topic of selling, and do a topic of marketing, and do a topic of breeding, and do a topic of genetics, and so on and so forth, if you guys are interested. So watch for that video. If you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and like. It'd also be great, maybe not this because it's 72 minutes long, but if you just take maybe your favorite video from us and share it to somebody else. We're really trying to grow this YouTube page to get people excited about quail, and I'd really appreciate it. So thank you guys. I do not remember what I was going to talk about at the end. I will write my stuff down from now on because I've had like 8 senior moments today. But thank you everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks.